Let review new curriculum for Social Studies Major, Part 2.1, Actual Let Questions with Rationale. This is JM Pedagogical Blog Review. Direction: you may get your note to answer and to record your score. There is a timer for each question. You are free to pause the video if the given time is limited for you. Do not hesitate to finish this video, for you are the next licensed professional teacher. Okay, let's get started.
Conclusion: this section directly addresses the research problems by summarizing the key findings based on the data analysis. It ties back to the research questions or objectives stated at the beginning and shows how they've been answered through the study. The Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, Republic Act No. 4670, passed in 1966, is a landmark law in the Philippines that safeguards the rights and welfare of public school teachers. It covers provisions on academic freedom, due process, working conditions, and even salaries and professional development. Archipelagic state. The Philippines is officially recognized as an archipelagic state under international law, particularly under UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. It is composed of over 7,000 islands. To continue in their jobs may not be dismissed unless there is just or valid cause provided by law. This right is constitutionally guaranteed and enshrined in the Labor Code. It protects employees from being unjustly dismissed and ensures that termination can only occur for just or authorized causes with due process. Corporate social responsibility, CSR. This reflects ethical responsibility, respect for participants, and consideration of social impact. Researchers must ensure that their work benefits society or the community and does not exploit or harm participants. The Arabian Peninsula is located in the southwest part of Asia. It is bordered by the Red Sea to the west, the Persian Gulf to the east, the Arabian Sea to the south, and connected to the rest of Asia to the north. Countries on the Arabian Peninsula include Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Ram. In the early dynasties of ancient Egypt, the god Khnum was a prominent national deity believed to have incarnated in the form of a ram. He was considered the god of the source of the Nile and a creator God who fashioned humans on a potter's wheel. Summative evaluation is conducted after the implementation of a program or intervention to examine its effects or outcomes, assess causal relationships between the program and results, evaluate the overall impact, not just immediate outcomes, estimate cost-effectiveness or cost-benefit of the program. RA 6713, Republic Act No. 6713, or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees, was enacted in 1989. It promotes a high standard of ethics in public service by prescribing norms such as commitment to public interest, professionalism, justness and sincerity, political neutrality, and accountability. Explore the topic. When a researcher isn't yet clear but is somewhat familiar with a subject, the most appropriate step is to deepen their understanding through exploration. This includes reviewing literature, identifying key concepts, understanding context, and mapping out current knowledge gaps. It's a vital preparatory phase before formulating hypotheses or setting assumptions. The government that was interrupted by the Japanese occupation of the Philippines was the Commonwealth government. The Japanese occupation occurred during World War II from 1942 to 1945 and interrupted the Commonwealth of the Philippines, which was the recognized government before the occupation. Illegal logging, forest cover. This pair most directly results in the reduction of biological habitat. Forests are home to a vast range of flora and fauna, and illegal logging destroys these habitats, leading to biodiversity loss, soil erosion, and disruption of ecological balance. Mi Ultimo Adios. This poem, written by José Rizal on the eve of his execution in 1896, is one of the most powerful testaments to Filipino patriotism. In it, Rizal expresses his willingness to die for the Philippines, offering his life as a humble sacrifice for the country's freedom. Natural disasters and political conflict create uncertainty, instability, and risk, which discourage both foreign and local investors. Political conflict may lead to sudden policy changes, violence, or lack of governance. Natural disasters can disrupt operations, damage infrastructure, and increase costs. Making tenants shareholders, not owners. Under the Comprehensive Land Reform Program, CARP, the goal was to distribute land to tenants and empower them as landowners. Power of eminent domain. It is the authority of the government to take private property for public use, but it requires just compensation to the owner. This power balances individual property rights with the needs of the community. One term for 6 years. Under the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the president serves for one term of 6 years, cannot be re-elected or serve a second term. This provision is meant to prevent the abuse of power and promote democratic leadership transitions. They are accepted as true without proof. In research, assumptions are those foundational ideas that are taken to be true without direct evidence, often because they help move the inquiry forward. While they aren't tested directly, they shape how a study is designed, how data is interpreted, and what can logically follow. General Douglas MacArthur. He was appointed as the commander of United States Army Forces in the Far East, USAF, when it was created on July 26, 1941, and led the combined Filipino and American forces during the early stages of World War II in the Philippines. Hurricane. Typhoon. A tropical cyclone is a powerful storm system with strong winds and heavy rain. It's called different names depending on where it occurs. Hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean and northeastern Pacific. Typhoon in the northwestern Pacific. Cyclone in the South Pacific and Indian Ocean. Hindus and Muslims. The partition of British India in 1947 led to the creation of Pakistan, driven primarily by religious differences between Hindus and Muslims. The Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, pushed for a separate nation for Muslims who feared being politically and culturally marginalized in a Hindu-majority India after independence from British rule. Dewey critiques how economic forces and a materialist scheme of value dominate social life, laws, politics, and human associations, leading to a culture centered on money and industrial machinery rather than spiritual or democratic ideals. John Dewey's quote explicitly mentions our laws and politics as being dominated by the cult and rights of money culture. This directly points to the influence on political factors. While other options might be indirectly affected, the quote directly highlights the political sphere. The Khmer Rouge was a communist guerrilla movement in Cambodia that gained strength during the Vietnam War, especially as a reaction to the U.S. bombing campaign in Cambodia. Limitation in research scope. This is not related to ethical conduct in research, but rather to the design and methodology of the research. This refers to the design or feasibility of the study, not to ethics. While it may affect the quality of research, it is not part of ethical considerations. When you vote for a new constitution, you are using your right to vote, suffrage, and you are also doing your duty as a Filipino to help decide what rules we will follow. According to the 1987 Philippine Constitution, specifically Article 6, Section 23, 1, the Congress, by a vote of two-thirds of both houses in joint session assembled, voting separately, shall have the sole power to declare the existence of a state of war. Several rural banks started out as cooperatives. This option highlights a tangible outcome of cooperative growth, the establishment of banks. It directly shows how cooperatives have evolved into financially stable institutions capable of operating their own rural banks, clear evidence of success. When harmful gases like sulfur dioxide, SO2, and nitrogen oxides are released by vehicles and factories, they mix with water vapor in the atmosphere and form acidic compounds. These eventually fall back to Earth as acid rain, damaging crops, forests, buildings, even corroding cultural heritage sites over time. Nationalism and national borders. Nationalism and disputes over national borders were significant causes of both World War I. Examples: Balkan nationalism, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and World War II. Examples: German expansionism, revision of borders. Erosive of family value. Industrialization often brings a shift in lifestyles, encouraging longer work hours and urban migration, which can weaken traditional family bonds. Physical dislocation of families. The move from rural areas to industrial zones or cities can lead to the physical separation of family members. Japan has long been a major economic power in the Pacific, influencing regional growth. China's growing political and economic influence positions it as a key driver in the Pacific region's global significance. Women's role in society. Here's the logic. Non-economic wants and needs are related to social, cultural, emotional, or psychological aspects of life, not directly tied to financial or material well-being. Issues like gender roles, education, freedom, or equality fall under this category. The evolving role of women in society. Political rights. These are the rights that enable citizens to participate directly or indirectly in the political life of their country, such as suffrage, the right to vote, access to information on matters of public concern, and right to run for public office or engage in political expression. Carlos P. Garcia was elected as the initial president of the 1971 Constitutional Convention. Sadly, he passed away just 3 days after taking his oath in June 1971. Diosdado Macapagal then succeeded him as convention president and led the proceedings through the politically turbulent period leading up to the 1973 Constitution. Jose P. Laurel was appointed as president of the Japanese-sponsored Philippine Republic, also known as the Second Philippine Republic, during World War II, under Japanese occupation from 1943 to 1945. A recession is characterized by rising unemployment, falling inflation, and decreasing GDP, but not by an increasing money supply. Instead, increasing the money supply is a typical policy response to a recession, not a defining feature of the recession itself. Peruvian fishermen originally named this warm ocean current El Niño, Spanish for the little boy or the Christ child, because it typically appears around Christmas time. It disrupts the usual upwelling of cold, nutrient-rich waters, affecting marine life and weather patterns not just in South America, but across the globe. Roas was a key proponent of the Parity Rights Amendment, which granted U.S. citizens equal access to Philippine natural resources and public utilities after World War II. He actively pushed for its passage as a condition for receiving post-war rehabilitation aid from the United States. Universalization of basic education. This reflects a key national goal, making elementary and secondary education accessible to all, regardless of socioeconomic background. It's aligned with international commitments like the UN's Sustainable Development Goals and reflects efforts such as K-12 implementation, alternative learning systems, ALS, and government investment in public schooling. Restrictions on foreign ownership and investments. Congress is considering amending the economic provisions of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, particularly those that limit foreign ownership to 40% in key sectors like land, public utilities, and certain industries. These restrictions are seen as a major barrier to attracting more foreign direct investments, FDIs. According to Article 2, Section 1 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people, and all government authority emanates from them. Republic Act Number 9994 grants additional benefits and privileges to senior citizens in the Philippines. It amends earlier laws, like RA 7432 and RA 9257, to further support the elderly through 20% discounts and VAT exemption, income tax exemption for minimum wage earning seniors, free medical and dental services in government facilities, educational assistance, utility discounts, and more. Purposive sampling. Since your focus is specifically on Indigenous peoples, IP, children, and the academic problems they face, you'll want to deliberately select participants who belong to that group. Frictional unemployment happens when someone voluntarily leaves a job in search of one that better matches their skills, interests, or working conditions. In this case, teacher Rose resigned not due to economic downturns or industry collapse, but because she was reassigned to a role, preschool, that didn't align with her qualifications or preference, high school. The Bandung, 1955, Belgrade, 1961, and Cairo, 1964, conferences were foundational to the non-aligned movement, which sought to promote peace, anti-colonialism, peaceful coexistence, and general disarmament, all in the context of resisting Cold War polarization between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. One of the most critical factors in teaching and internalizing values is the presence of role models, teachers, parents, leaders, who live out the values being taught. Without authentic examples, students struggle to internalize these values meaningfully. In the context of globalization and intense competition, businesses may adopt more strategic, sometimes manipulative, approaches to gain advantage, such as aggressive marketing, negotiation tactics, and competitive strategies. This reflects a shift from traditional or personal business orientations toward more calculated and sometimes manipulative practices to survive and thrive in the global market. The ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework, AQRF, was endorsed by ASEAN economic, education, and labor ministers between August 2014 and May 2015, and its implementation by member states began in 2015. This framework allows for the comparison of education qualifications across ASEAN countries, supporting mobility, mutual recognition, and lifelong learning.
How many correct answers did you get in this review? You may share it on the comment box. I hope you got a passing score and you learn as well. Good luck let passers and top-notcher, claim it. Congratulations to the March 2025 let passer. Congratulations teachers on passing the board exams. Your hard work and dedication have paid off. This achievement is just the beginning of a bright future ahead. Wishing you continued success in all your endeavors. The next video will appear on screen. Click it to watch, or you may choose the playlist for more related videos.